evening, everyone, and welcome to a very spooky edition of Pretend Football Now. I am Psych Manders as Bill Belichick. Cheating. Let's do more cheating. And with me, as always, is Mal Paderos. Mal, you really can't see a thing without those, can you?
I cannot see one iota. I am blind as a Nepalese bat.
A Nepalese bat. However, the man was a brilliant ball player. I hope you got everything rattled down tight, everyone, because this show is going to shake you to the foundations. We've got 2 game breakdowns as usual, and of course, we're going to have a little bit of a segment with Bench Blues.
I can't wait to really get into it. This week had a lot of riveting activity. It was a very spooky week for the NJCFFL.
So much terror. So much terror. Let's get this horror show started!
And this week's Malls matchup features 2 teams that were mired in controversy. The 8-4 Tinky Winky Stinky Pinkies defended home turf over the 3-9 Buckets to Moonwalkers, 128-81. The Dirty Digits were a mover and a shaker this week, as Coach Adesso's roster featured 7 new players. A clear shakeup intended to get the most from his teams. And it seems like it worked out very well, as the Pinkies got an astonishing 128 points, the highest total they've ever scored. The record run for the rookie coach was led by Danny Woodhead's 32 points, one of the few holdovers from the wholesale changes made this week. Arian Foster also chipped in a big 28, and former RoboCop Phillip Rivers added an additional 27 to help pace the Pinkies. The road to victory was not without ruin, though. As Arian Foster was steamrolling over the Buckets, he was struck by his Achilles heel. Literally. He'll be lost for the season and now leaves Coach Adesso scrambling to find a running back to help fill out his roster, which will be made astronomically more difficult since he's only got 107 free agent bid dollars to spend and the wary eye of Commissioner Paul Jong-il affixed squarely on his head. Coach Shooter Cook's squad was not without their own fair share of mishaps and misery this week as well. While the New York Giants and Calvin Johnson had strong showings with 21 and 20 points respectively, they could not overcome the absolute horrid play of Torrey Smith, who put up a goose egg along with David Johnson's 3 points. The fans, disappointed with their team's current plight, held up signs calling for Moonville City Council to meet ownership's demands for a stadium and fan base upgrades, including sequined right-hand gloves for all, a pail of smooth criminal wings in every luxury box, and the ever-famous Moonwalker escalators to be installed after months of delays. Coach and owner Shooter Cook had been adamant that the poor conditions in the Moonville Memorial Arena are the reason for his squad squalor play recently, and that a relocation may be inevitable if the city cannot meet what he calls his team's demands. The most recent turn of the rumor mill has many in the league on edge, as the small market Catskill region and the large TV market of Sharpsville have turned up as possible destinations for a relocation effort of the Moonwalkers should their current stadium plans fall through. We'll be certain on PSBN to keep you updated as more information becomes available. But for now, this week's special segment, The Bench Blues.
You know, aside from all the terror in this league, there's still time for a little bit of bench blues. Mal, let's go over. Who's singing them bench blues?
Well, the bench blues were moaning and groaning for the Tinky Winky Stinky Pinkies. They opted to play Alan Hearns, who scored 13 points. But he was terrified to find that Danny Amendola scored 25 on his bench. That negative 12-point differential is so bad. He still would have ended up 2-0 for the week, so good job, Tinky Winkies.
At number 4, we have the Not Very Goods, who chose to play Ahmad Bradshaw, who put up an absolutely ghoulish single point. He played him over Chris Johnson, who scored 20. That is a 19-point differential. However, 2-0 would still be 2-0. No change there.
And in third, Buckets the Moonwalker decided to play the obviously dead Torrey Smith who scored, like all dead people do, 0 points. The great goose egg. He chose him over Ryan Matthews, who ended up scoring 20 points. He had a 1-in-1 week. He would have also had a 1-in-1 week if he would have made the right play.
At number 2, we have the Georgia O'Keeffe Vagina Flowers, who chose Dion Lewis, who put up the undead 0. That zombie was headshot. Absolutely headshot. Played him over TJ Yeldon, who had 20 points. Again, a 20-point differential, but still, nothing would have changed. Everything is set in stone.
That's right. And then there would have been no worse play than what the Lakehurst Dirigibles did last week, starting Julian Edelman, who scored 11 points. And a moderately good 11.
Not bad.
He could have done a lot better. But Lamar Miller was the ghost hunter, putting up a massive 40 points. It's a tremendous 29-point differential. Absolutely astonishing. And believe it or not, if he would have had those additional 29 points, the Lakers, Dirigibles, and Coach Paul Medeiros still would have ended 1-1 on the week.
There's an amazing turn of events, all set in stone, as I said before. And so, we close the casket on another edition of Bench Blues. Bill Belichick here. Just kidding, it's me, Psych Manders. I'm here with the Great Divider. It's time for Psych Scalpel. On the table this week is a close-won victory for the Wrath of Platypus as they romped over the former champions, the Doomsday Destroyers. Coach Menzie led the charge, with Mark Ingram scoring a commanding 24 points, while Brandon Cook sizzled up a nice 14 spot. Unfortunately, no spare kicker could be scraped from the bowels of Platypus Village to replace a resting Zach Cocker, and Lance Hankerson was uncharacteristically quiet, both men putting up a goose egg. That's a 0 for those of you in the fantasy football industry. No clear case of massive bench blues haunted a dominant Coach Menzie this week, although Michael Crabtree did warm the bench with his 18 points. Coach Dogg suffered a bit of a doomsday of his own, leaving C.J. Anderson and Demaryius Thomas out there on bye, and scored a heinous 0 that would have been easily presentable. One might question why, as Doggs really did shock the league by actually making roster moves during the week. It was a head-scratcher. Ladarius Green performed well, however, scoring up 18 points, as well as Dan Carpenter kicking up a mighty 11 points. Honestly, Dogstown wouldn't have benefited much from substitution for the bench, as only paltry numbers were reported. A strong showing from the Marsupial Mashers. Clearly, the platypus still has plenty of venom left in this season. And what an absolutely ghoulish week of fantasy football it has been. Maul, let's get your word of the week.
Spooktacular.
Spooktacular. From all of us here at PSBN, from me, cheating, evil mastermind Bill Belichick, and Drew Brees, fresh off Bourbon Street sex orgies, good night, and we will see you next week with another edition of Pretend Football Now.